2, 1. And it's showtime. Well, welcome to the Marissa Pitts Show, streaming live every single Friday at 11 a.m. PST on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to love, like, and subscribe right now before you forget. You can also catch our episodes on the go now. We are on Apple and Spotify podcasts. The podcast name is Mouthful, and that is for all of our guests that come on. You can go ahead and catch up, check them out. So that is all up to date, and we will have this Mouthful interview on this weekend for you also. Our guest today, I'm really excited to have this. We are wrapping up 2023. This is my last show for 2023, my last show for season 1. This is episode 12. So very, very, very excited to have very good friends of mine on, Eryn Sparzo and Anthony Sparzo. They are co-founders of Phoenix Rising Intervention and Court Advocacy Service. So hang tight. We're going to get to them today, and it is time for our show. Showtime. Welcome to Pitts Bits with Marissa Pitts. All right, let's have some fun today. 3, 2, 1. All right, this is Pitts Bits with Marissa Pitts with your weekly update on pop culture. Please take a moment to love, like, and subscribe right now. So this week, it's been another slow week on here. A lot of people are focusing on the holidays, trying to wrap things up. But talking about people who were not too happy about the news this week is we have Jeffrey Epstein's island guests are on the hot seat right now. Yes, because a federal judge on Monday ordered the public disclosure of the identities of 150 people mentioned in the court documents related to Epstein. So that was his little black book. A lot of names in there, a lot of addresses. That is what is not being released. That is still under wraps. That's high profile. And obviously some of those people in that little black book did not go to the island. We understand that, but I bet a lot of them did. So what the judge did rule on is that the names being released were what was redacted in the court filing. So these are names that we actually already, a lot of us know about. Their victims have their people who are witnesses on there, passing connections to the scandal, some of Epstein's employees, like stuff like that, right? So my only thing on the release is, great. I love the release. I'm all about transparency, what's happening but also victim advocacy. So I'm a little like, that the victims' names are being released, because I think that should be privacy. If you are a victim and you do not want to go public, you should have that right. But I really want that black book. I'm going to be hanging around for some tea. Hopefully that will come out on there. So it looks like the pedos in the high places are able to keep their identity secret for now. So hopefully that'll all come out in 2024. But what is dropping in 2024 is a new documentary. All right, this is a weird one. Okay, so this follows a really bizarre case of an unconfirmed age and psychopathic accusations, just all kinds of stuff. The documentary is called The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. Right. And I have a cool little clip of it right here. Those of you who don't know Natalia Grace.
The things that Michael said that I've done is a lie. She was trying to make me seem like I was just this big, crazy person. That's not true. I want to tell people what really happened because I didn't get that chance. This is my story, and I'm only gonna say it once.
Okay, so they already kind of aired out the first little teaser about who her story is and her side of the events. But what they brought in is an age expert for DNA. Obviously, with her dwarfism, you can't just look at her and be like, this is your age, stuff like that. So they're doing comprehensive testing. And that's getting released on Monday, the 1st. Is she really as young as she says, or is she actually older and pretended to be a 6-year-old kid from Ukraine? She was adopted by two people, Michael and Christine Barnett, back in 2010. They're Indiana couple. They took her in, and they said that while they were adopting her and with their other three kids, that she tried to stab them, like had a knife in the bedroom at night and would leave glass shards out and just some crazy stuff that, like, if this is legit, I actually would have called like child protective services or something. Just, I don't know, just something to be like, whoa, this is not working out. But instead, what they did is they filed. This is really weird. Okay, this is where it gets weird, right? Because you would think a normal person would call a therapist. I don't know, the adoption agency, right? Being like, yo, something might be wrong with my kid. There's some trauma. The kid's trying to kill me. Nope, nope, nope. Instead, they take her to court while she's in the hospital. She don't even defend herself. And mind you, she was adopted supposedly at 6, so now she's 8. They take her to court, and the judge agrees with them that she is masquerading as a child and just allows her age to be changed to 22. They get her a hotel, or not a hotel, they get her an apartment. They pay for the apartment. They say, here you go. And just like leave her on her own. And by now she's 9 years old. So she's like a 9-year-old kid who's living alone, fending for herself, doing everything. And somehow in all this, she gets readopted by a family. I don't know. Did they adopt her as an adult? Because now she's legally an adult. I don't know. There's some crazy stuff happening. And it wasn't until 2022, so last year, that her parents, the investigation came back up. Her parents, or previous adopted parents, were actually arrested. All right, so that's their little mug shots in there. And they were arrested for neglect of a dependent causing bodily injury. However, all the charges were dismissed. So they were found not necessarily not guilty, just dismissed on enough evidence on there, and all that. So I'm legit confused. Like, what is happening here? And what happened to the judge that said that this person, without even interviewing her or doing anything, went from a 6-year-old to a 22-year-old? So I'm just confused about that. Anyway, they are plugging it that the DNA test supposedly is proving she's 22. I don't know. That's just like a little snippet. So who knows? We'll find out on Monday. Is she really a child, right, that got caught up on some craziness? Or is she an adult masquerading as a child to get to the US? Dun, dun, dun. Who knows? Other stuff in the news, though, this week. Okay. It is Yeezy. He is in the news, as we all know, but it is not. Well, he's in the news for like a lot of reasons, right? We had the AI written apology to Jews in Hebrew that was obviously done by an AI. Like, that was I don't know why people were surprised about that. So he had his apology. You have him just with his new wife, right, going around in almost nothing clothes and kind of hanging out. I'm not a big fan of a lot of Yeezy's fashion, but something just dropped that I actually was like, I'm down for. I do like the concept idea. And here is a quick little video of Yeezy's new affordable compact shoes for women.
New shoes. New shoes. New shoes. Is rapper Kanye West.
Looks better, right? Yeah.
Done.
It looks way better, right?
Booties. No new shoes.
And he goes back and forth and back and forth.
Fuck, man, Kanye West.
I know I got to be right.
So I found that video. I thought it was classic. But this is what this shoe looks like. So it's a little quick little picture of it. It is a affordable sock shoe. That here, so obviously it's made for men or women, but women are the ones buzzing about it, not so much the guys, because as we dance, we go out at night, our little toesies hurt, and we call it a night because we can't literally walk and we don't want to be barefoot. But these can actually hold up into your purse, little clutch bag. You can slip them on, put your high heels down by the door, right? And continue going out for the night. So I actually do like it. I think it's pretty awesome. I usually slip flip-flops with me, but this one is even more discreet. So I do like it. And it still looks a little fancier than some regular old flip-flops. So kudos to Yeezy on this outfit design. I think this one can actually go further than his big shoulder pad clothing and trash bags that he's been trying to promote. All right. Well, that is our pop cultural news for Pitts Bits. Please stay tuned. There is more left on the Marissa Pitts Show. And remember, don't forget to love, like, and subscribe. All right, what else? I'm just like rolling. I'm just like recording, rolling. What a mouthful. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Marissa Pitts Show. This is Mouthful. We do have a wonderful guest today on my very last show for the season. This is my season 1, my very first one, launching out on my own. And I have these 2 wonderful guests. We have Mouthful guests, Eryn Sparzo and Anthony Sparzo. They are co-founders of Phoenix Rising Intervention and Court Advocacy Services. Hello.
Hi.
Morning, Marissa.
Yes. Okay. Connection is working. Okay, I can hear you, and that's what matters, right? So welcome. Thank you so much, you two, for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Before we jump into some questions I have with you and our chit chat, I have this great little intro video of Phoenix Rising Intervention and Court Advocacy Services. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, I know that you do have, you worked in the addiction field since 2010. You have a bachelor's degree in social work from Brandman University. And you've been facilitating intervention since 2012, and you're a certified intervention professional. On your journey forward to where you are today, right? What made you want to be a court advocate? There you go.
Well, I mean, I think the backdrop to this is my brother was incarcerated in 1997. He got a 38-year stretch. He's still incarcerated to this day. He got hit under the 3 strikes law, which is a violent offenders, law that was instituted by Pete Wilson back in, I believe, 91. He had no violence on his record. He had 3 felonies. It's not that my brother didn't deserve time in, but 38 years was beyond egregious. Cruel and unusual punishment did not fit the crime itself. And it was all due to, drug abuse, which is, rampant in the system. We know that prison doesn't work. So if we can keep them out, and while they're out, we give them this thing, it's called the master needs list. The master needs is their observable goals, not what they have to do to appease probation or parole or a judge. It's what they want to do in order to take back their lives. So while they're, while they're skating through parole, just making sure that they don't go back in, they have an advocate such as myself that's going to be somebody that can continue to advocate for them during their parole timeline, but at the same time, they're rebuilding their lives. So as far as why, I never was able to fight to get my brother out. I was still in active use when he went in. I didn't get sober till many years later, but his deterioration in prison, there was no rehabilitation. So this is evidenced rehabilitation. This is proof that rehabilitation is taking place. And a lot of counties in the state of California are starting to open up to it, and they're starting to let it happen. And we have seen a high percentage of success. I don't know that it's, forever success, but I do know that during the initial stages of doing court advocacy, we've seen prison sentences of 3 to 5 years get reduced to, 4 months of house arrest, a lot of fines, community service, but they're given another opportunity to succeed.
And these are people who have not committed violent crimes, correct?
It was all drug related, those are the ones that I can fight the easiest. I get them the right lawyers. We connect. If the lawyers are, able to drop their ego just a little bit and work with me, we have a lot of success. Yeah.
Okay. And on your master needs list, you're talking about, this is a list that you help your clients have. I know they have probation needs they have to hit and meet, right, to stay out and stay productive. But what are examples of what could be on a master list for somebody?
Employment, education, rehabilitation, showing that, I make sure that they go to 90 days, 90 meetings. We give them a sign-in sheet for AA and NA so that they're showing that they're now involved in the recovery community. Not only involved in the recovery community, they are exceeding all expectations in the court. Now, the judge says you can go to 40 meetings. Well, we're going to double that and show that they're actively seeking recovery. We're not just talking about sobriety. We all know that sobriety and recovery are two different things. And if we sit in sobriety too long without rehabilitating ourselves to recovery, chances are we're going to use again. That's why the relapse, rate is so high. It's a disaster, and it's not getting any better. No matter how many residentials are out there, no matter how many people like me and Eryn are out there, counseling and therapy and everything else, it just remains at around 85% across the country. Yeah. And we do hold the highest rate of addiction in the world, by far.
Yeah, and I found out that California also has actually the highest rate of incarcerated drug offenders. I mean, incarcerated, period.
Yes.
Across like all of the states. I didn't realize we were the highest. But then what goes with that is over 25% is non-violent drug.
Yeah, the other point on that is that, we work really hard in recovery and working with our clients. So when we come across somebody who has a criminal record, but is willing and wanting to get well, and then they go into treatment, we watch them do this beautiful treatment and recovery work. But then when they discharge, if they're facing jail time, it's all for naught, because as soon as they enter back into the system just to survive, it's, you can't maintain recovery in prison. So there's that side of it too. We hope to catch them on the front end so that they don't have to spend time in, and we can prove rehabilitation in lieu of incarceration. But there are those cases too where we've paused it and they've been able to move through recovery, and we don't want them to lose everything that they've gained.
Yeah. And that's called recidivism, correct? Recidivism, thank you. I was like, I know there's an actual scientific name, a smart person name.
I can spell it, I still can't pronounce it. Right?
I know, I was looking at my notes, I was like, where are you? Eryn, thank you for chiming in. So I want to jump to you. You are a licensed marriage and family therapist, also a certified intervention professional. And one of the things I really liked about when I looked onto your website and everything on here is that you are really a big proponent about integrating therapy within the whole family. Absolutely. So it's not just about, hi, I'm the client, I'm the person that needs help, I'm the addict, right? Or usually that's what we see. Only that one person seeks help, right? And then everybody else just turns a blind eye. So what were some of the things that you provide to family members in this support system? Like, why is it so important for them to also have counseling?
Yeah, I would say oftentimes it's even more important, because those that are going into treatment often aren't saying, hey, I really want to go into treatment. Can you help me? It's the family system calling us and saying, this one person's screwed up in our family. We're all good, but this one person has an issue, and can you go fix him? We're going to send him or her away, and they can deal with their stuff. And when they come back, everything will be good. But then what we find is the family system is so dysfunctional because of codependency, because of addiction and use in the family, all the family dynamics, work with couples that somebody enters back in and immediately they're pigeonholed back into that, the family role of troublemaker, drug abuser, They can't be in their recovery. So what we try to do is, while our clients are in treatment, which is just often a very small time frame, unfortunately, because of finances and insurance, which is a whole other podcast. But we start our work with the family as soon as our client goes into treatment. So what that looks like is family therapy sessions during the week, 2 to 3. There's individual there's the couples dynamic, and then there's entire family systems dynamic. So it's talking about what does the system look like right now, and identifying where is it broken and where can we help heal and repair and change communication and boundaries as their loved one is in treatment, and then planning their discharge to maintain that healthy new way of being so that everyone gets a new start and that there's a chance of recovery for the entire system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that because your program is on average about 90 days, correct?
It's gone, we've worked with our clients for a year when that's when it really goes well. We would love, in a perfect world, the intervention is an itty bitty slice. It's just intervening and stopping the blood flow, and getting somebody safe. And then we start working on the family. The program is working with the individual. And then when they come out, we want to continue to do what people call case management or care management, where we are then saying, okay, master needs list. How do we help this person build their life? Family system therapeutic work. How do we rebuild the couple and remove resentment and heal? How do we practice new communication and really holding expectations and boundaries on both sides over a period of time? Because it takes time to get to this place, right? So it's conditioning on a negative side. So we have to recondition every component of this family unit over a period of time for it to change. So we like it when we get them up to a year, and that's where we see a lot of success.
Awesome. I didn't realize that you could continue to work with you two even past when their court sentence is done or the 90-day sobriety or whatever it is. So that's a really amazing tool that you utilize to use, because a lot of times when we talk about interventions, and Anthony, when you talk about this, I usually see it as two separate things. You call the interventionist, right, to get them safe, would you say? And then you got to go on your own and find a therapist. So how did you two link this, your two worlds together? Like, how did this all come about?
Well, I mean, when I met Eryn, I met her at a marketing event, and I was running a sober living at the time in Northern California. And I hooked up with her to find out, what was missing from, I didn't just want to run a sober living. I wanted them to come in and get well. A lot of my guys were, part of my court advocacy. They all had, open cases that they were dealing with. So I was advocating for them, but I also wanted to see them get well. So when I hooked up with, Eryn, I realized that she was an incredible and amazing trauma therapist. It was really by accident that I walked into her office expecting, to just kind of profile her and see how she did. And what I did was I left her office, kind of going, wow, I just opened my entire life to her. I'd never opened up to somebody like that in my life. Really kind of freaked me out. But I also realized how effective she could be, because she had this loving and very nurturing, state about her. That was just her style. And it's really just who she is. I feel like she's that natural therapist. So what I realized was, okay, here's the mental health piece. We all have that. Anybody that's gone through addiction, anybody has a mental health component that is not being tended to. We're just dealing with the addiction. Now, our field has really started to look at, the co-occurring, which is the mental health and the addiction piece. What I realized then was I was missing that from all of my past interventions dealt just with the addiction, didn't deal with the family. I realized that I was missing out on all kinds of aspects of what I should be doing. And I was just taking care of the one small piece. I didn't know about case management. I didn't know about, furthering the treatment. I was very stereotypical of interventionist. I met with the family. They hired me. I walked them through the paces, did the intervention, dropped them off of treatment, and that was it. That's just the beginning now for us. And it's because Eryn came in and really we started combining our efforts and we came up with what Phoenix Rising is today, is all around treatment. And if we can't do it, then we find, somebody to do it, whether it's, a sober transport, for instance, you know what I mean? So we surround ourselves with the very best in the field to make sure, because we're just two people, but we make sure that we have the people around us that are going to make it absolutely,
Give them a chance.
very therapeutic for the entire family environment. So
Yeah,
and we can do that now because we're focused on the addiction and the mental health. Mental health comes first. That's why we got addicted in the first place.
It's true. And I always talk about that. I mean, addiction is an illness, right? And it's generational. It's passed down a lot, right? I know I struggle with my family, because they're addicts, right? It doesn't always skip a generation, as they say.
No, it's not a weakness. It is.
It's a coping skill. It's just an unhealthy coping skill.
Yeah.
And it's a different medicine. When we're suffering, we take medicine, and this is just a different medicine. And so we have to find the one with less side effects.
Yeah. And one that you can pair and control, right? So I always talk about people who you see them self-medicate, right? Alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. But then they can't get actual correct help or medication to help them. If they are suffering from bipolar or any other type of manic, because of the instability of self-medicating, right? Not having an exact regimen. This is what you're taking.
Well, and you also can't identify, there's no baseline. So nobody, a psych can't go in and kind of say, let me see what your system looks like. How do you feel in the world? What's happening? What is your mood? Because the substances look like bipolar. The substances nowadays look like schizophrenia. They look like, right? And so you have to remove the substance to get to the core system to even be able to identify how can you be helped, from a physiological perspective.
Yeah, and I want to kind of jump into this aspect of it, because talking about self-medicating, and people sometimes don't realize they're self-medicating if they're in the midst of an addiction or crisis. What are some things that, if you think if I say me as a family member, if I thought a loved one was struggling, what are some signs that I could look for that I could get preemptive help before it gets to the point I have to call and they go to jail? Did you glitch? I'm sorry. Did we glitch?
For me, there's a little bit of a glitch, but can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I'll throw a few out for sure from observing people, right? When you know somebody, their patterns and their behaviors. And so when you start to see pretty significant changes in that over time, in mood, agitation, depression, in sleep, in eating, changes of pattern for sure, right? Because they're hiding use. And so I think that's a really easy, quick one to recognize, is noticing changes of normal behavior.
Yeah. The consistency is not there anymore. Less family time, more isolation time. If they're younger, which I believe that it really starts to kick off around 12 or 13, and then it's in full throttle speed at around 14 years old. I mean, that's what happened with me. That's what happened with the people I grew up with. And I think that across the board, we can all generally agree that that's when it really starts. That's when our independence starts. That's when we finally decide to give the big middle finger to, authority, society, to our
when I started
teachers. Exactly. And we're finding our voice. And, all of a sudden, it's also around the time that the trauma, at home can either escalate, or we're now looking back and better understanding what has been done to us. And, we're hitting that puberty stage of addiction with a lot of anger, a lot of anger towards the people that, we consider the ones that abused us, whether that was physically or mentally. And authoritative, I was just always against, the system. So I started working out, or I started acting out in that sense, and then it obviously quickly became apparent that, later, if I had to be home at midnight, I was not showing up at all, or it'd be 3:00 in the morning, just be aware as a loved one, as a parent, don't be fooled into believing, denying yourself of the truth. When you're seeing it, it can't be my son or daughter wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
That's not my husband's style. That's what we
Mhm.
don't know until we actually dig in, open our eyes and say, you know what, there is a problem. Catch it as quickly as you can. I've worked with a lot of teenagers, and I'm the guy that's not going to go in and say, don't do drugs. It's not the way I do things. What I do tell them is I go, because we already know that they're going to use. They've already heard don't do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So, the just say no thing doesn't work, But we all know that was a, epic.
Dare is still going around. There
Yeah.
was I'm sorry. I laugh because Dare was hilarious when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
it still didn't help. I mean, I think people accidentally snitched on their own parents.
Yeah.
So it was more like a pro cop thing than let me help your family.
Right.
But yeah, it's Dare still going strong, and I don't see a difference in their program.
No, and again, there it goes back to why we're in so much trouble in this country. I look at kids and I tell them, and those are the ones you want to get to because they're the future addicts. They're going to be out there committing crimes. They're the ones that are going to be, dying sooner in life. These kids today, I mean, I lost maybe, I don't know, a dozen people in my life to overdoses, a few family members, right? And these kids now, that's over a stretch of 30 years of using and being, available on the street and understanding what's going on. Today, these kids, they're 23, 24, and they've already been to a dozen funerals. They're watching all their friends drop around them, whether it was during the oxy or, the reemergence
Fentanyl.
or the fentanyl. Yeah. And trust me, there's something coming along that's going to be stronger than fentanyl.
There, yeah.
It's just the way that the timeline of drugs has always worked out. Man gets its hands on it and then, redefines it, whatever they have to do to mix it up. And then they create something that is more deadlier than it was that it was intended to be. Marijuana used to be marijuana. It's no longer that anymore. And again, just going back to your original question, I look at kids and I say, be very aware of when the party ends and the dependency begins. It's really that simple,
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with drugs being so intense, the party ends that night and they're not even aware there's an addiction. I mean, we see this overdoses in children. First time taking a pill or first time doing this. You just brought up about marijuana. And Eryn, I know we were briefly talking about this. If you can elaborate some more on some of the differences about the cartridge THC versus, the flower is too intense as it is now. It's not like I hear people from the 60s who used to smoke and it was nothing compared to today. Yeah. But what are the things, I know marijuana is legal in California, right? So they're kids are saying, I'm 18, I'm allowed to smoke. And as a parent, you're like, whoa, but you're not acting correct. So what are some of the dangers of THC cartridges?
Yeah, and to what you're saying, alcohol is legal too, but anything used at an extreme or anything that is, created in an unhealthy way is unhealthy for us. So, and that's what's happened. Anthony alluded to, man getting our hands on it and wanting what is always being sought after is more and bigger, right? More money, more production, all of that. And so as everything's been biomedically enhanced, it's changed the chromosomal makeup of everything, even flour, right? So it's though that's better when you're talking cartridges and wax, that they're it's now being delivered to your door, without ID, wax and cartridges. The THC levels are hundreds times more what they were if you're just smoking a bowl. And so, we have these receptors in our brain, CBD and THC receptors, and just like anything else, they get flooded. And when a receptor is flooded, it becomes poison in your body. So what we're seeing as the THC levels are so high are these early onset symptoms of schizophrenia. It's not like Anthony talks about sitting back on the couch eating, your Fruit Loops or watching cartoons.
Captain Crunch.
Hey, Rice Krispie treats all day long back in the day.
It's not that anymore. What we're seeing is agitation, a lot of isolation, a lot of paranoia. And so insurance companies were not covering treatment for marijuana until the last about year and a half, 2 years. If I might not be completely correct on the timeline there. They weren't doing it because they said there was no withdrawal from marijuana. Now, insurance companies are saying if you can prove one episode of psychosis, we'll cover you in treatment.
That's great.
Insurance companies are doing that. They don't want to do that. They're the last ones to do that. That means there's a big problem.
Yeah.
And
that means people are ending up in the hospital.
Yep.
Because we all know insurance companies only care if they have to pay out of pocket, which is why we have freer preventive care for like childbirth, stuff like that, checkups, immunizations. What are, and I know that we had talked, what are some of the newer legal things that are coming out that we're able to get that are having overdoses, addictions? I think you had mentioned whippets earlier.
Yeah, we're really seeing, we've had a run of, so it's nitrous oxide cartridges, and they're called whippets, and you can buy them at a smoke shop. We have, adolescents all the way up into their 30s who are, what they're experiencing is neurological issues. So they'll hit 20 nitrous or 100 nitrous oxide cartridges with a machine that is also sold at the smoke shops at a time. And it's causing brain damage, but it's also affecting the way that the body absorbs and uses vitamin B. And so at a cellular level, it breaks down their cells, and they're becoming paralyzed. So in a matter of 3 months of using whippets, we've had 2 clients, females in their 30s, who lost use of their hands and legs, could not walk, were paralyzed and in the hospital with signs of MS. And it only was through disclosure of using whippets and ongoing testing that the families realized that this is what it was. Mm-hmm. And then they were able to rehab and get B shots and do rehabilitation and find their way back. But, we know of one kiddo who was brought into the ER brain dead from using whippets over a period of 1 month. So anyone at any time right now can walk into a smoke shop and get that. And that's I just got a call today of a 16-year-old, cartridges found in his room, and it's just, that's one example of, and it's always changing. There are new things that we can't keep up with.
Yeah. It's, honestly, it's the people that I work with, I always say, I hope to teach them as much as they teach me. I keep my ears and my eyes open to everything that they're saying, because they keep me relevant in doing what I'm doing. I've been retired from that life for 16 years now, and they keep me informed on what's happening out there, and how bad it really is. And it's also very effective in working with somebody that we're collaborating together. I don't even like using the word client, certainly wouldn't call them a patient, it's one human being and another human being. I got some education, I got a little bit of recovery behind me, and then I share it with them. I want them to share back with me. And if we collaborate together, we can bring this together. And just real quick, I'd say 6 years ago, when, about a year after I had met Eryn, we started working together and stuff, she had talked about it. And I go all the way back to Venice Beach days of advocating for the legalization of marijuana, always touting, nobody's ever died from weed, and, up until, a decade ago, that was true. But now we're using a lot of chemicals to grow this stuff. We're,
non-organic. You're not growing it like the seed in your backyard, with the sun, the hippie style. No.
Normal anymore.
In labs.
Because you're doing it so that you have more, you have more product through the year. So there's more harvests, so you're getting it quicker, but at what cost? I believe down the line, maybe in the next decade, you're going to start seeing, the first, lung cancers, the first wave of lung cancer for people that have never smoked cigarettes in their life. And it's going to be because of these chemicals that we're sucking in. Maybe not necessarily the marijuana itself, but the chemicals grown to do it. Yeah. Especially the pens. The pens are, we're talking about when I was smoking back in the 80s, indica, skunk bud, Hawaiian, if you could get your hands on it, it was 18 to 20% THC. We're talking almost 100% THC now when it's broken down into the pen and wax and stuff like that. That's not really marijuana anymore.
No.
That's basically, and I believe down the
THC.
line, DSM will, they'll redefine it as a class 1 narcotic because of the effects, because there's
How
a
strong
strain
it is.
out there. Yeah, there's a strain out there that, a friend of mine, was a grower. And, this is somebody I knew when I was still using, and then I knew him when I was getting sober. He was still a friend of mine, but he was somebody that was like this, quality chemist. And he had a strain that was called marijuana, because it mimicked the withdrawal of heroin. Like Eryn said, there's the insurance. Why? Because
wow.
so there's
gnarly.
The sweats, there's the, irritable bowel movement, there's the throwing up, there is the dehydration, there is the anger, there's the, spasms in the legs, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And when Eryn first, said it to me, schizophrenia and stuff, I just looked at her. I was like, "You're out of your mind."
Yeah.
And her. And,
Norm, he doesn't know
here's the
anything.
norm, whatever that means, right? And I'm supposed to be the expert. And I'm like looking at her, and it took a few years, and I went, "Oh my God, man, you're right." Because I started seeing more and more of it, and I started listening to the people I was working with, and they were the ones, that were trying to get off of the weed and, the pens and stuff, and I was like blown away by the stuff that they were telling me was happening, especially the violence, The violence.
And I think what's interesting is studies have come out that the generation now has the Z gens. They have the highest amount of anxiety, right, than any previous generation, really. And
I said it's really crazy. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from how hard and stressful our world has become.
Yes.
Social media, the access to social media, and the false standards.
Yeah.
I purposely don't use filters. Like some of my friends get mad because I'll post photos. They're like, "Dude, I look horrible." I'm like, "Well, that's what you kind of do look like." Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, not horrible, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not glitzy. I don't believe in filters. I do get Botox, like I won't lie, you know what I mean? But as far as like that social media fake imagery that is promoted through the Kardashians, through other, just I'm not just picking on them because they happen to be a beauty standard, right?
Right.
On here, so you have that on top of the stress of surviving. I can barely pay rent, and I have a really good job, right? And I can barely pay rent. You know what I mean? Single mother, right? And then you have on top of that, you're doing drugs like, marijuana that you think is supposed to take away your anxiety, take away your thing, and it's just hyper building it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about with those receptors. I mean, there is research. My son, has autism, and we talked about using CBD and THC to help with his anxiety years ago. And I worked with his psych, who she also had a child on the spectrum, but she was an autism specialist in psychiatry. And I said, "What do you think about this CBD?" She said, "I thought it was God's gift for 3 months." And she said, and then everybody who started using the CBD for anxiety, within 3 months, those receptors got flooded, and every one of those kiddos became 3 times. They were at 3 times the level of anxiety. Oh, wow. And so that was the piece it applies to everybody, and that's before all of the legalized marijuana kicked off. Now, we are proponents for medicinal use, and our family members and clients, we see where it can help, but that's different than daily use, and especially with the pens, whether you're just hitting it all day long, and that, like Anthony said, the chemicals on top of it. I mean, what was PCP and what's meth? They're chemicals that you're smoking that cause brain damage, right? So we have to be smart. And then when we're not now as a society, we're going to have to continue to repair it, or, it's all blow up and we start fresh.
And then I know we do have, I thought this was actually really cool. You all started this. I'm going to show this one. Sorry, wrong thing. Wrong picture. Here's my picture. I have on here, you all are training people to be interventionists. I know I just grabbed this off of your website on here, so everybody can go onto their website to do it. I thought that was really cool that you're actually like training individual, because you are licensed for interventionists, right? But training on how to do it and use a method that is more successful and long lasting. So can you talk about this program that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with why this started for us. Besides the fact that we just love teaching and sharing whatever knowledge we have. You know, we don't know any magic trick that any other intervention.
We're not heroes.
We're not.
I don't know. I give you a little hero cape.
But what we wanted to do, what we noticed in the industry, you know, as somebody, I'm accountable to the BBS, the Board of Behavioral Sciences. And because of that, then I'm required to get continuing education, to continue to learn. If I practice unsafely, there is a place for people to report me and to get taken care of. And in the field of interventions, you have a lot of really good-hearted people that want to help, but they may be new in their recovery. They may not have any mental health knowledge at all. You don't have to be an expert, but it's too intertwined now. They don't have insurance, or they don't know how to provide safe support. So, and there aren't really organizations that are yet pushing that, right? Insurance doesn't cover interventions for a reason. It's because it hasn't been governed yet.
I didn't know that.
No,
Nurses don't cover? Oh.
Well, Pennsylvania State Board, so we're certified through the Pennsylvania State Board. They created a governing board for interventionists, and so it was the only one, and that's what we did. And so part of why we wanted to do the training was to teach people the importance of safety, of not walking into a home without knowledge, without a plan, without insurance, without accountability, and that was really important to us, along with, you know, just teaching our idea and concept of longer continuum of care and this case management we talked about earlier.
Yeah. I mean, Eryn really, you know, she put about 6 months honest into really building, you know, our program, you know, by using, you know, a hybrid approach to all, you know, the models that are out there to begin with, you know, the ones that we use that, you know, have been, you know, used for, you know, the better part of the last 40 years, you know, and, you know, the Love First and, you know, the Johnson model and Rise and different models that are out there. And what we did was we just put into effect what we do when we, you know, go into an intervention, step by step by step, from the first phone call until, you know, if we're lucky, 4 or 5 months after, you know, they've been discharged from the program, you know, and that's talking about, you know, case management, what we do to work with the families.
Ongoing.
Yeah. And to give them an idea that it can be more than just that initial phone call and 5 days later, you know, considering it success because you were able to get somebody in. That part of it can be a success, but the real success to me is what's the longevity of healing? Is there healing going on 5-6 months down the line? Is the family now established new boundaries that, you know, are going to make the environment healthier and hold them accountable down the line, not just 20 days after they get out? Because if that environment hasn't healed, this guy's going to get, he or she's going to get out of treatment, go back to that environment. And, you know, it's a no-go. It's going to be relapse. Yeah. That's why they say people go through treatment 6-7 times, you know, before they get it right. And there's so many of us, there's 80% of us in this country that are never going to go through it once or twice because we don't have the money to do it. We don't have the proper insurance, and insurances are just, they're deleting, you know, what they'll do less and less every year. And treatment teams all over the country are pissed off because, you know what, insurances are doing nothing about it. I mean,
and they're not even paying the people who are helping. Like, I know my sister wants to do, she's a therapist also, and she wants to, trauma therapist, and she wants to do her own private practice. And she's like, and I refuse to take insurance. She's like, because
it's so hard. I had that conversation yesterday because I want to be able to offer it, and it's just so hard in your private practice. But with that training, the idea is to give people a different idea of what intervention, being an interventionist is, intervening ongoing. And we call it unscripted, Marissa, because we teach our protocol and in a perfect world how it all goes, but it never goes that way. So it's unscripted, like life, like people, and we want new interventionists to know, like, you can learn the Johnson model, you can learn this model, it's never going to go like that. So can you think? Can you intuit? Right? Can you plan what may happen and what may not happen, and have backup plans? Because that's how you keep people safe in the middle of an intervention. And we are constantly shifting from one second to the next.
Seriously.
In an intervention.
Yeah.
We might go in and Anthony's the lead, and within 30 seconds he's like, you go. And vice versa.
Just hearing the initial, the way that somebody might respond. We just did one last month where she was going to be the lead, because we felt like, the mother figure, the nurturing woman would have the best effect, except this guy was, he had machismo oozing out of him. And he just dismissed her.
It took 10 seconds.
Immediately I was, I was the lead on that, and it was a successful, intervention. And this, actually, the family came back and wants to do some case management. So I might start working with this guy every week. But, like she said, it switches so quickly. We just want people, like she said earlier, 6 months sober. This woman's got a big, huge heart and wants to go out and help people because they're feeling the recovery, and they want everybody to have it. That's why we all got in the field in the first place, is because we didn't want to see somebody repeat what we had just done. We finally got some clarity. That's why I became a drug and alcohol counselor. Unfortunately, the system, and the programs and everybody, and it's not to put anybody down. It's to say that alcohol and drug counselors are not being paid their worth. You know what I mean? So, being loyal to a program only lasts so long before they have to move on, to, be able to just pay their bills.
Yeah.
Same thing with social workers, same thing with teachers, these vital, occupations were not being taken care of the way that we should be. And I don't want to get too far off on this. That's another
matter.
I'll be bringing you guys back. We'll break this down.
Yeah, I had to throw that in because
when In-N-Out Burger, employees are making more than drug and alcohol.
In-N-Out Burger.
There's a problem.
Yeah, there is a problem.
I mean, In-N-Out is a necessity. No, I was kidding.
Yes. Mental health all the way.
Yeah, but it's it is just.
We just want it better.
Your heart's in the right place, but you're not prepared. We had a team up in Oregon, a couple that we knew. They went in, did an intervention. This is just real quick. The guy was in a schizophrenic episode. This was methamphetamine was what they were going in to do the intervention about. Anyway, this guy jumped up, as they will, and stormed off to his room. F you, F this, And so the gentleman, it was a man and woman team. The gentleman had his back to the hallway doorway. And the girl, the female, was sitting on this couch, and he came back charging through with an aluminum bat. And she was able to get her arm in between the bat and the back of this man's head, her partner's head. Okay. Now the blast was so bad, it broke her arm all the way through. It took six surgeries to correct it, skin grafts and everything. I mean, she broke it to where her arm was hanging, broke straight through. So imagine what that would have been on the skull. It would have been a fatal.
It would have killed him.
That's it.
Right. And so we talk that these are the things we talk about in the training. Safety, preventative,
weapons, not knowing, is there going to be weapons in the house? Is there guns in the house?
Things people don't think about.
If you got somebody in a schizophrenic state and they have access to weapons, this isn't an intervention anymore. This is a fight for your life, when you're going in with the greatest intentions. And that's even something I didn't realize years and years ago when I was doing my first.
Invincible.
I wasn't looking at it like that. I was just, minute somebody said they needed help, I was there. And so many of us are just like that, but have a little bit of knowledge. We have a couple of decades between us, and we have a lot of education. Let us share it with you. And there's a lot of people out there that don't feel that our training's irrelevant. And I just have to disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. This is something that needs to be done if you want to be successful, if you want to be safe, and if you want to see these families heal.
And the industry is changing. There's some organizations like CCAP that are now going to be providing certifications. The industry is changing as it always does,
Yep.
where there's going to be accountability and licensing and certification at least required. And that's the best case scenario, really. I mean, the bureaucracy of it can be a pain in the butt, but the safety component, it's a payoff.
Yeah. Awesome. And where can people find you who either want to have training, interventionists, or families who need help with their loved ones? Where can they find you?
They can go on our website at phoenixrisinginterventions.com. We have an Instagram page. We always put our links up there for our training. Facebook, we're learning the social media gig, like we're that next generation, I guess. It's just painful. Any youngins that just like do this in their sleep, we want you, we need you. Yeah.
My grandson be checking us, so
they can also call us. It's an easy 877-MY-HOPE-1. And if anyone needs just advice or consultation, we're going to give them that. That's what we're in this field for.
Yeah, that's a big one. Is we get calls, all the time. It might not lead to an intervention if they can't afford our costs. We always try to, balance as best we can. We'll refer them to somebody else in the field that we know, as long as they get the help. And if all they need is somebody that they can talk to and hears them for a couple of hours, I'm never that busy that I can't speak to somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to end in a business contract. It can just end in them having a little bit more hope. And that's exactly it. 1-877-MY-HOPE-1 is so that we can give that back, and a return to laughter. We stop laughing when we're in addiction. We just don't laugh
families,
anymore, And,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and families have forgotten how to be happy.
It's all crisis and survival terror stuff. Yeah.
And it just sucks. We've all experienced it. I've known you in both worlds, Marissa. You know what I mean? And
we're crazy. We have the crazy stories.
And I was out there, and it was some of it was okay, but most of what I went through, a lot of incarceration, I seen a very ugly, dark side of addiction, and if I can be part of, and I mean part of us in going out there and making a difference, it's cool that I get to spend the second half of my life doing something righteous, it's cool.
It's great. Well, thank you two very much for coming on today. Truly, truly appreciate it. And it was the best way to end my season 1. So having you two on. So I really appreciate you. I love you guys very much. Happy 2024.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk soon.
Right. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Know your future with Mystic Marissa. 3, 2, 1. Well, welcome to Mystic Marissa, where you get a glimpse into next week's astrological future. As you might not know, I am fascinated by astrology and how it can help you plan for your life's many pitfalls and sometimes high places, right? We always have things to look forward to. Just a quick little recap on here from last week. You had your Christmas weekend and other holidays throughout there. And it was a mixture of stress, chaos, happy holiday memories, hopefully. And your week should have slowed down right after Christmas, allowing you to catch your breath and get ready for 2024. So we can say goodbye to Christmas chaos. Yes, yes. And hello, hello, hello to hopefully a better 2024. Quick little recap of this week. Today actually is the day that Mercury stations still retrograde in practical Capricorn. All right. With Mercury being retrograded, there is a delay in communication, tech, transit, all that through January 22nd. Well, where am I? 2022nd, 2024. There's a lot of twos thrown in there. But just know that you're still going to have some delays. We still have some holiday traveling, people coming back from holidays over the next weeks, kids coming back into school. So a lot of chaos still going to happen here and there, but just plan in advance. The more planned you are, the better it is going to be for you and those around you. Today also, though, Venus goes ahead and says hello to Mercury also while it's in Capricorn. So we have a nice little transition today with all of them together. This is actually because it's Capricorn is more grounded and level-headed on things and pragmatical and planning, and you have the retrograde of Mercury behind there. Venus is taking a step back in your hot factor life, right? And it's making you want to cuddle cozy, as we talked about, right? It is cuffing season, but it's happening today. We have New Year's Eve on Sunday. So all that means is most people are not planning big shindigs this New Year's Eve. A lot of like at smaller parties, smaller things. Some people are just Netflixing and chilling, right? So they're just kind of cuddling up and keeping it pretty low key. I think we are all exhausted emotionally, financially, right? All from 2023 right now. It's been a little on the rough side. So just be aware that this weekend is going to be a lot chiller. Stay at home. Still some parties you can go to, but don't plan on a big bang, random stranger New Year's Eve kiss on the New Year's Eve first, unless you are actively searching for it. But most likely it'll just be a much more chill time. And please, please, please do not text the ex. Don't do it. Don't text your ex. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to do it. This is a singer, Alyssa. She's got a great little song about that on YouTube. Feel free to check her out. It was pretty good. I was like, ooh, touche. Do not do the exing texting. Okay. If you need something new, if you need to have a fling, if you need to have cuddles, go to Tinder, go to Bumble. I don't know. Try something new. 2024 is about new. Okay. We've got 2023 was all about getting rid of baggage, ending relationships, ending business propositions, starting stuff new, all that stuff, right? I know I did. I ended a 4-year commitment. Well, I didn't end it. It got ended on me with our last show, but something new came out, my show, right? So that I can actually have fun and create and go where it is. So 2024 is all about new things, and let's go forward with there. I am definitely ready to kick 2023 booty out, like get out of here. I was very stressed this year. I had more lows than I had highs. My bank account was more empty than it was full, all that. But within that mix, I still had some beautiful, wonderful memories. So as you look back on 2023, I hope you can really focus on the positive parts that happened out of here. Anything that was negative or traumatic, obviously we need to heal from. You can't forget about it. But hopefully you'll be able to find some light at the end of those tunnels, right? And just really hoping for 2024 to be good, because 2023 was thumbs down, disappointment coming out of COVID. No bueno. I am definitely ready for 2024. Happy New Year. And this weekend, I'm going to release a overview of 2024 for us. In the beginning part, what to look for, what is the year supposed to symbolize, where are we going? We have a new Chinese year coming up in February, right? So I'm going to go ahead and blast that out this weekend. I got to do a lot more research on it to give you the correct facts, right? And what to look forward to in January, right? New year, new month, new you. All right, that's what I'm always about. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Marissa Pitts Show. This is your weekly horoscope. I also like to thank Mouthful guests Eryn Sparzo and Anthony Sparzo, co-founders of Phoenix Rising Intervention and Court Advocacy Services. Big old mouthful there, but thank you very much for coming on. Always appreciate it. And thank you all for listening and tuning in to Marissa Pitts Show. Don't forget, if you like what you are listening to, love, like, and subscribe right now and leave me comments. I will respond to your comments. I take comments, right? And if they're a nasty negative comment, I might just delete your ass because I don't care. It's my show. All right. So everything, I'll see you in the new year, season 2. We're going to start off with a bang. So thank you so much for listening and happy new year. If you like what you heard today, make sure you like, love, and subscribe. We are on all the socials at Marissa Pitts Show. Till next time. Mwah. Ciao.